Adaora drove to her best friend's house, Chichi. She couldn't wait to give her friend the news she had been longing to let out. On her way, she thought of how Chichi would be so surprised and happy for her. They had been through a lot together, sharing their high and low moments. On Adaora's way to Chichi's house, she pulled over quickly. She needed to speak to her man to inform him about where she was headed, as Tony, her man, didn't like her not giving him her itineraries for the day. "Hello, babes," Adaora said over the phone. "I just want to inform you that I am on my way to my friend's house, Chichi." "Who is Chichi again?" My friend now, the one I always told you about. She's my bestie. I'm on my way to her house. I need to see her and give her the good news." After Adaora was done with the conversation on phone, she headed over to her friend's house. On arriving at Chichi's apartment, Chichi was so excited to see her bestie. As it has been 1 week, both ladies had last seen each other, had been so busy with work. "Adaora, you didn't inform me on time. Oh, I wish you had come home earlier. There is this guy who is asking me out. He just left not quite long. I would have loved you to meet him and rate him. You know how we do it now," Chichi said to her friend Adaora. "I wish I had met him," Adaora replied. "But by the way, why are you all smiling?" Chichi questioned, as she knew that there was something Adaora's smile meant. They had been friends, and he understood her friend's body language. "My friend, guess what?" "Just guess." "What now?" "Tell me, you know I'm not a good guesser," Chichi said. Okay, I'll just let it out. "I am engaged," Adaora said with so much excitement. Chichi screamed in joy as Adaora broke the news of her engagement to her. Wait. Is it that same guy? The one you told me you met last month? What's that his name again? Oh, Chichi said, trying to recall. "Tony! His name is Tony. That guy is a fast guy. Oh, just 1 month of dating. He's already engaged to you? God, am I a tree?" Chichi said with so much seriousness. After a while, the duo busted out laughing. Apparently, Chichi and Adaora had had several failed relationships in the past. Chichi had even dated a guy for 5 years who later broke up with her for a flimsy reason. The two ladies had already given up on finding love, and now Adaora was glad that finally she had a man who was ready to settle down with her. Tony bombarded Adaora with so much love and gifts in the short while they had met. He made sure Adaora had no breathing space until Adaora agreed to date him. But after the engagement, Tony became withdrawn. But Adaora didn't mind. After all, they were going to be getting married. Adaora started doing all the calling and texting. She would always check up on Tony to be sure he was fine, and Tony gave all the excuses in the world, from him being too busy at work to having a bad day, even the flimsy excuse of him attending church programs and night vigil, which had taken his time. And Adaora gave him the benefit of doubt. That was around the time Adaora complained to her friend Chichi about the change in her man's behavior, and Chichi asked her to be calm. "Remember, you guys just started dating. Though you are engaged to him, I understand, but you still need more time to get to know yourselves better," Chichi said with a calm voice, with so much concern in her tone. "Adaora, my friend," Chichi continued, "you remember the guy I told you got me flowers?" Yes, what about him?" Adaora said with so much interest. "I have decided to give him a chance, and we are officially dating." "Oh, that's good. I'm happy for you. Who would have thought that we would both find love almost at the same time?" Adaora added. They both smiled to themselves, reminiscing on their past experiences. Adaora and Chichi were successful young ladies. Adaora had one of the biggest fashion clothing brand in Port Harcourt, while Chichi was a career lady working a 9 to 5 job as a senior staff in an oil and gas servicing company. She had money and was doing well for herself. One day, Tony came visiting Adaora. It was a pleasant surprise as she had not informed her of his coming, but Adaora was very pleased to see her man to spend quality time with him. Adaora and Tony had even gone on a date. In the euphoria of the moment, Adaora brought out her phone to take a snapshot of herself and Tony. No, now, don't do that. You know I'm a very shy type. Please don't snap me pictures, Tony said as he quickly grabbed the phone from her hands. Ah, Tony, so you are this shy. I thought you are not a shy person. Oh. I think you are the only person I have seen that doesn't like snapping pictures. Oh, it is so weird and funny, Adaora said as she laughed at Tony's behavior, shoving any possible reason why Tony didn't want to appear on her phone gallery. The next week, Tony pleaded with Adaora to loan him some money that he was having issues with his bank. Adaora gave him the money as she was pleased to have been able to lend a helping hand to her man. However, it did not stop there as Tony kept on requesting for one thing or the other. He sounded so genuine with his request and Adaora was far too kind a person to even decline his request. Adaora wasn't just kind to Tony, but to everyone that came her way. She was naturally a caring person. However, Adaora became really disturbed as she had been engaged to Tony for 6 months now. But Tony wasn't saying anything concerning the wedding preparation. He wasn't making any plans to come see her parents, and it began to weigh Adaora down. And after several sleepless nights, Adaora decided to be upfront and ask him when he was going to meet with her family and start the wedding planning proper. Tony swallowed hard, racking his brain, trying to get the best explanation. I know that by now we're even supposed to be married, but it's just that things are very difficult for me now. I am having some financial constraints, and there is this contract I am hoping to get. When I do, we would start the wedding preparation properly, Tony said with so much conviction in his look and in his tone. My love, please, I need you to be patient with me, Tony added. If there is any way I can be of help to you, I don't mind, Adaora said. I don't want to disturb you, Tony quickly butt in. With a calm and steady voice, Adaora could see the seriousness and genuineness in his tone. She felt he had genuine reasons, even from his posture to his voice. Meanwhile, Chichi was having a great time with her man, T. Unknown to her, she was dating same man her best friend Adaora was engaged to. Tony had told Chichi that his name was T. Chichi had no clue of T being Adaora's Tony, but Tony was fully aware that he was dating both friends. Apparently, Tony had made a bet with his best friend Martins, who had known both girls since their days in the university. Martins had asked Adaora out then when they were in the university, but Adaora was not interested. Martins kept on pestering Adaora to the point one day Adaora got so angry at Martins for constantly stalking her that she poured him a bucket of water. Chichi, Adaora's friend, did not spare Martins either, as she joined her best friend Adaora to humiliate Martins, and ever since then, Martins had a grudge with both friends, promising to pay them back for what they had done. Tony, Martins' friend, made a bet with Martins that he was going to get the two ladies to fall in love with him and make both ladies fight for him and break their hearts. Tony was glad that his plans were coming together as he was already in a relationship with both ladies. Tony managed to keep his double life unknown to them. Tony would shuttle between Adaora and Chichi. He was having a swell time. However, Chi-Chi had come to love him so much that she couldn't see herself without tea. She fell helplessly in love with him. Tony showed so much interest in Chi-Chi with sweet words, gifts, and a dream of a future together. On some days, he would be with Adaora, feeding her with lies and deceit, promising her marriage. Whenever Chichi was around her friend Adaora, she would share wonderful stories about her boyfriend T, how he loved and cared for her, and how she, Chichi, could not do without him. However, as the days went by, Chi-Chi and Adaora were curious to meet the men in their lives, and so Adaora and Chi-Chi planned on having a dinner date together with T and Tony. They anticipated how the dinner was going to be. They knew it was going to be fun-filled. Adaora could not wait to meet with T, the man who had stolen her friend's heart. Same with Chi-Chi. And so Adaora informed Tony about having dinner with her friend Chi-Chi and her man T. Oh, that would really be great. I can't even wait to meet them. Probably I could become friend with your friend's man. Who knows? Tony said with so much excitement. But deep down in him, he was scared because of what he had done. Also, Chi-Chi had invited her man T too. That day, both ladies dressed gorgeously. They were both filled with smiles. They had arrived for the dinner date on time at the fancy restaurant. The dinner was for 7 p.m. When it was past 7 p.m., both ladies stared around the restaurant trying to see if their man was around. But both T and Tony was nowhere in sight. But when it was 8 p.m., the ladies really became really impatient. What is the meaning of this now? Why is Tony not showing up? Adaora said, likewise T. I am really becoming impatient. I hope something bad has not happened to my T. Chi-Chi added, already looking worried. Both ladies reached out to their phone to dial their man's number, but surprisingly, the lines were not going through. After several hours at the restaurant, Adaora and Chi-Chi went back home. The following day, Chi-Chi met with T. She told him of her displeasure about his behavior. Why would you stand my friend and I up in that restaurant? You know you were not going to show up, Chi-Chi said angrily. My love, I am sorry. I did not mean to. I had a very important meeting. It was urgent. I am sorry if I made you feel disrespected in any way, T said calmly, with so much remorse in his eyes. Please, do not let such repeat itself again, oh, Chi-Chi said, as T kissed her while she blushed over the peck. When Adaora confronted Tony about his action, he gave excuses upon excuses on reasons why he didn't show up that night for the dinner date. One fateful day, Tony had come to Adaora's house to spend some time with her. That was around the time Chi-Chi decided to give Adaora a surprise visit. Normally, Chi-Chi would call to inform her friend of her intention to visit her. But that day was different. She really wanted to see her friend's reaction after a month of them not seeing each other because of their very busy schedule. Chi-Chi drove to Adaora's house. When she got there, she knocked on the door, but there was no response. She was almost sure that Adaora was inside. She turned the knob of the door and opened it. Then she went inside. She got the shock of her life when she found her man T in a romantic and compromising position with her best friend Adaora. She used her hands to clean her face to be sure she was seeing well, but it was real. Her eyes widened, looking fierce in anger. How dare you steal my man away from me? I thought you were my friend, you traitor, Chi-Chi said angrily. Adaora, thrown in a state of confusion. I don't get it, Adaora retorted, trying to understand what her friend was saying. You are not a friend but an enemy. I told you about my man and how much I love him. All you could do was go behind my back and steal him away from me, you traitor, Chichi shouted. Adaora stood up. Chichi, mind your tongue. You do not come to my house and dare talk to me in such a manner, Adaora said, already getting vexed. Both ladies started yelling insults on each other while Tony stood by the side with a smile, a stern, fierce smile of fulfillment. They were still quarreling when Tony sneakily left their presence without them noticing. Afterwards, Chichi left angrily. That night, both Adaora and Chichi could not sleep as they were angry with what had happened without them realizing they had been played by Tony. The next day, Tony visited Chichi, telling her it was her he loved and never knew they were friends, and that he only went to visit Adaora when she seduced him. After several talks and convincing, Chichi forgave him. She had already come to love Tony and wasn't ready to back down. That day, she sent a stern warning to Adaora. She went ahead to send Adaora a text message. Leave my man alone, you traitor. What the text message read. Adaora, on the other hand, was angry with Chichi for stealing her man away from her. They were engaged to be married. The following day, Tony went to Adaora, begging her to forgive him, that he was only just but a friend to Chichi and not in any romantic way with her, and that he never knew they were friends. Adaora, please forgive me. It is you I love, Tony said pitifully, with tears in his eyes. Adaora could not stand Tony crying as she forgave him immediately. Tony let out a stern smile. As the days went by, the relationship between Adaora and Chichi became really estranged as both ladies believed Tony's lies. Tony called his friend Martins to inform him about the success of his bets, but Martins needed the proof, and so Tony set out another plan for the ladies to meet again and fight over him in public this time around. He had invited both ladies on a date at a fancy restaurant, and Martins was close by to see with his eyes how both ladies were going to fight over his friend. It was the kind of fight that would bring satisfaction to him. As a form of revenge, they had both planned to laugh at both ladies immediately they start fighting and then walk away from them. Tony had invited both ladies to the same restaurant, but 5 minutes apart. Adaora arrived first, all looking radiant. They sat talking and exchanging romantic glances when Chichi walked in. Tony knew that Chichi was a short-tempered person in nature, and so when Chichi saw them, she flared up immediately. So, you have the guts to go out with my man after I warned you, Chichi said with so much range in her tone. Immediately, both ladies looked at themselves, and almost at the same time, it dawned on them that they had been played by Tony. Martins waited to see the ladies fight, but to his amazement, both ladies pounced on Tony, pouring a whole bottle of wine on him, hitting him left, right, and center. Tony tried to run, but both ladies were smarter. They cornered him. They gave him the beating of his life. Tony only managed to escape with his life as he was beaten blue-black by both ladies. The news went round the whole city about how 2 ladies had beat up Tony. He was so ashamed of himself that he left the city far away from the praying eyes of mockers who would laugh at him of how ladies had beaten him up. Adaora and Chichi reconciled their differences each time they remembered how a trickster in the name of Tony had almost deceived them into fighting themselves. They would laugh. It was part of life lessons, a lesson and a story they would tell their children and their grandchildren. Thank you for watching this story. I hope you've learned a few lessons while you're watching. let us know the few lessons you have learned in the comment section. Like this video, please, and do well to share out this video to your loved ones. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed. Thank you. Until I come your way again with another African story, for now, from me, African Tales by Omon, it is bye.